Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we have a race truck. So let's go to Hirochi Raceway because that makes sense. Race truck, raceway. So this mod does use the new vehicle selector, so we can go ahead and pull that up. And then we're going to scroll down to Gravel D Series, and you'll see there are two new options here. There's a D-15 racing truck and a D-15 racing truck alt. We're going to start off by grabbing the D-15 race truck in light brown. And then let's go to a nice big wide open area so we can actually take a nice good look at it, because if we look at it here, we got walls and shadows and all that kind of in the way. If we go over right around this corner, there's just a nice big wide open area that is great for looking at vehicle. So I'll just reset it right about here. So the more obvious visual changes include the bed cover and the wing, which is really the thing I saw that made me want this mod. I saw that wing and I just had to have it. It's so big and ridiculous. How can you not love it? I love it. The wing is crazy. And then some of the smaller things which you might not notice is that this car has the wheels from the Bolide, not the rims or the tires or whatever you call it. The rubber is from the Bolide. And it sits even lower than any of the normal stock trucks. If we pulled up, for example, a D-15 Custom, which sits even lower than the normal one, I think, it still sits lower than that. So if we go ahead and just grab that one and make it color of red, and you can actually have the same car in different colors now, which is a really nice thing. But if we put these side by side, you'll see that the brown one sits even lower than the red one. Actually, another way to tell is look at the front wheel arch right here. You can see there's a gap there. With the race truck, what gap? Yeah, there's really no gap there, so that's the easiest way to tell the difference. So that truck sits really low. Now, let's compare the D-15 racing truck to the D-15 racing truck alt. And interestingly enough, as far as I could tell, these vehicles are actually identical. The way I determined that is I pulled up the parts selector, and if you go between the two vehicles and hit parts management, it lists the parts that are on that vehicle. And as far as I could tell, there is no difference. They have the exact same parts. So I did some looking around in the files for the vehicles, and I'm pretty sure what happened was the normal version was not supposed to have a welded differential. I think it was supposed to have the racing rear differential, and this one was supposed to have the welded differential, because the file names and stuff kind of sit like there's a mention of a welded differential for the alternative one. So I'm assuming it was just some mistake that happened, or maybe I installed the mod wrong, I'm not 100% sure, that made it where they were identical. So when you do use the racing truck, I highly suggest you put the racing rear differential on it, because that makes it a lot better to drive. And I'll do a quick comparison between the two so you can see why you would want that versus a welded differential on a racing vehicle. So if we just take this truck and drive it a bit, you'll notice it's very, very bouncy. And that is in part because of the differential and the very stiff suspension combined causes that, actually. So you see going through this corner right there, I am intentionally kind of making it bounce, but I'll do the same for the other vehicle as well, so you can get a nice fair comparison between the two. But you see it's bouncing all over the place, and it's actually surprisingly easy to control even though it's in the air half the time, which has surprised me. I figured I would just crash all the time, but I don't. But you can't go fast like that, that's for sure. So there, now it's flipped. And that is what it looks like when you take a truck with a welded differential and take it around a racetrack. Now we're going to do the exact same thing with a truck that has a racing differential. Aside from that, it should be exactly the same. And you'll see just how big of a difference the differential makes. Right through there, already you can see all four wheels are staying on the ground, unlike the other one where it's 3 wheels on the ground, 2 wheels on the ground. This one, it's 3 wheels on the ground very, very rarely. Almost all the time you have 4 wheels on the ground with the racing differential, which makes it a lot better for racing because you get more grip when you have all your tires on the ground. So at this point, the welded one has flipped over and the racing one is still going strong. It does bounce every now and then, yes, but that is just mostly from the really short and stiff suspension. So we can go ahead and stop it right there. And let's see, what else could we do? Let's go to a different place and do some things there. So I don't need to save that. No, I don't even remember editing it, but whatever. Let's go to port and do some things there because it has a lot of racetracks there. So let's go ahead and properly configure this truck. First, we need to choose the racing version, and we can choose it from there as well. You know, I used both methods because it's actually relatively easy to choose it since it is a modification of the normal truck. But go ahead and choose that, and then we're going to go ahead and get the correct differential on it. There's also a drift differential. I guess we could try that one out, but well, if you know anything about me, I can't drift. And I just realized when you change the differential, it puts a front transfer case on. If you remove that, does it make everything crazy? Like, does it change the differential? No. So there we go. Because that'd be weird. That'd be like an all-wheel drive drift car, which just doesn't seem right. If you have a drift car, it should be rear-wheel drive. That means the other test I did, the actual car had a front transfer case, which shouldn't change much on how much it bounces. If anything, it might make it a little bit worse, I would think, but not by like a significant amount. So anyways, this is the drift version, and as you all know, I can't drift, but I'll try it anyways, just to show you it. Look at this corner, it's too tight. That is how you drift. I don't know if this is much different than the welded differential. It feels kind of similar, but I've only been driving it for a few seconds, but it seems like it likes to bounce a lot, just like the welded one. It might just be this road, too. This is a really bumpy racetrack. You know, looking at it, I'm pretty sure I bounced quite a bit even with the race differential. That was kind of like a drift. There we go. That was the closest thing I've done to a drift all day. I like games where they have a drift score so I can say, yeah, that was a good drift, and I feel proud of myself. It's like right here, it's just, I don't know if that was a good drift. I mean, it's too slow, wasn't it? To really be considered a good drift? Alright, let's do a comparison then. That's what it is like with that setup. So what if we went ahead and put in the welded differential? Does it feel much different? I'll see if it does. Is it gonna... Yeah, I put another transfer case in. I don't need a front transfer case. Rear-wheel drive, man. Alright, welded differential. Oh, that's even worse, actually. Okay. The drift differential is definitely not just a welded differential. Just doing that first corner, I saw how much it popped into the air. Like, it was bouncing, but it didn't bounce like that. I don't think they're the same. I think they're different. I mean, it's a really quick test to determine, but I'm pretty sure they're different, because... like, I'm just watching this truck bounce, and it's like, that's a lot more bouncing. Now, let's just actually get the setup I wanted to have for this whole time before I got distracted, which is using the racing one. There we go, and I don't need the front transfer case. Stop it. Alright. Everything else looks like it doesn't get changed. I think it's for some reason it adds a transfer case, and that's it. I don't know why, it just seems like it likes to. That parts configurator is like a beta, so that could be the reason. Oh yeah, I'm not trying to drift anymore. I went into that corner in full drift mode. So you want to race it. Show off the amazing grip abilities of the truck. Where am I going? I have no idea where I'm going, by the way. You can tell. It's like, oh, there's a turn. Let's go that way. Ooh, there's a... oh no, there's a fork in the road. Well, not really a fork, but the road ends here. Go this way. There's a T in the road. It's literally shaped like a T. I'll call it a T. That's probably a fancy name for that, and it's going right over my head. Like, I probably know it. Somebody will say it, I'm like, oh, duh. So you don't need to say it, because I'll probably... what'll happen is the second I end this video, I'll be like, that's the name. I don't know. Can't think of it right now if there's a fancy name for it. I want to say there is, though. You know, this one also works for drifting. Seems like it works well for drifting. I think this track is just a bit too uneven for this vehicle. I think it needs a more like racetrack track. That one's kind of like a... I don't know how you explain it. It doesn't feel racetrack. It just feels like a place you can drive your car. Where racetrack's kind of smoother than that. So I'm going to go over to the docks because it's pretty smooth there, I think. Try driving it there. I'm surprised I haven't blown up the suspension more often because the suspension is kind of fragile because it has so little room to move. It's like right there, that's a blown suspension actually. You can tell, just look at the distance the truck's, or the ground clearance of the truck right there. Barely anything. Reset it. And you can see pretty clearly right there that is a lot more ground clearance. So I honestly don't know why I came here, because there's nothing that's really high speed around here. It's just like, here's some places you can maneuver about. Probably would have been better with the drift version here now that I think about it. Too late now. Ooh, a ramp. I'm gonna go on this building. I don't have the ground clearance to go on this building. Never mind, abort idea. Abort idea. That's a bad idea. Better idea, let's just drive around. I don't know, it's hard to demonstrate how well a vehicle handles. You can see it does bounce still though. It's a little bouncy, no matter what you use. But with the welded differential, it's crazy bouncy. With the normal differential, it's pretty good. I don't think this car is good for ramps. Every time I try to do a ramp, something bad happens. Like that time my wing fell off and my tire blew off. So let's go and go somewhere else and do some science some more. Let's go to the grid map. Yeah, let's go to grid map. So what I want to do here is a drag race. And I want to see, does the wing affect the speed? Because I think logically the one with the wing should be slower in a straight line than the one without a wing. Because the wing is just making everything have downforce and makes things slower. We're going to test that and see if that is correct. And I probably would have been better off just going to grid small pure, but well, I didn't think this through entirely, apparently. Because I gotta basically go outside of the map and then we'll actually do the drag race I was gonna do, so whoops. Just hit my truck into a wall. Broke my wing off. Spoiler off. Whatever you want to call it. So let's go ahead and put the truck here, reset it, spawn another truck right next to it. And we're gonna make it exactly the same, but without the wing. And it could be a different color too, it'll be silver. Just to get that variety. Then we're gonna go to parts configurator. And, whoops, wrong parts configurator. Well, can you choose it from here? Doesn't look like it. What I want is this parts configurator. And grab the spoiler. Get it out of here. Go to the main menu. Well, there is no main menu really, but whatever. I'm gonna put both the trucks pointed in this direction. That one actually has a blown out suspension, the red one. So let me reset it. There we are. Well, probably should have a little bit of space in between them. I'm all changing my mind now. It's making everything boring. I know, I'm sorry. There. They don't have to be side by side because I could just measure their speedometers. Both cars are immobile. Freeze physics. Full gas on each. And automatic transmission is going to do its job. It looks like the red one had a kind of crappy takeoff. Let's see, this one's going 115, 20. Aerodynamics will really come into play once we get to higher speeds. So like 150 this one's hitting. That one's at about 150 as well. It's 160. 170. Oh, this one's a little bit faster. This one's hitting 174. That one's only hitting 170. So the wing does have some aerodynamics properties, I think, that is causing it to top out a little bit lower. Or it could just be the extra weight of the wing also. Either way though, it does have some effect on the vehicle. Let's see, if we have two stationary trucks, the weight distribution is 20%, 21% on the rears here. And on this one, it's 22%, 24%. So the wing is also effective when you're at really low or no speeds and changing the weight distribution of the truck. I also noticed it kind of bounces when you take off now that I've seen them side by side. The one with the wing has a much cleaner takeoff. Just something interesting to note. Ah, wait a minute. It's just the transmission. The transmission was being dumb. I mean, I couldn't shift two vehicles at once. That'd be impossible, so that's why I was using automatic transmission. But I think that was the reason why it was so jumpy off the line. Either way, though, it does do something, I can tell. Here's another test we can do. We can go to... I think I have it installed. Don't I have Leap of Death installed? I better have it installed. Who doesn't have Leap of Death installed? So what I want to do here is just get the truck with the wing, fly it off of the ramp, and see if it affects the way it flies off the ramp. Also, this should be able to break the bed cover off, because I didn't seem to be able to break that off under normal circumstances, because that thing is strong. Alright, with the wing, it stays pretty stable. It does tip a little bit downwards. Well, let's get that bed cover to fall off, hopefully, here. Not gonna bother with slow-mo. Is it off? I can't tell. I should have slow-moed it after all. Whoopsie. You learned lessons, I guess. Alright, so let's go ahead and reset this, take off the wing, and do the exact same thing and see if it makes a difference. The spoiler. Whatever. Fly. Oh, definitely. This one, the back end fell forward, and now the front's really tipping hard. That is totally different looking. And both of them broke the front suspension, interestingly enough. And I know how to fix the textures on this, by the way. I just haven't got around to it. I keep forgetting to. And it's like, well, I'm already here. It's too late to fix them now. So I just roll with it anyways. I mean, that bed cover is strong. Swear, it never comes off. I'm gonna force it off. I really want to get that bed cover off now. That's the last thing I want to do, is to get that thing off. How can we do that? I got a really cheesy idea that'll work great. Let's do this. Let's go to grid map, and we'll do what I have an idea for there. Alright, so you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna blow it up. We're gonna blow open the back of this truck and try to get that bed cover to come off. Because I swear I read it could come off. It just doesn't seem to wanna. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I'm gonna spawn 3 other trucks and make them propane tanks. And I'm gonna shove them into the bed of the other truck, and then we're gonna see if it'll blow up or not. So propane tank, propane tank, propane tank, and we're gonna use the map editor to move them into place. I'm gonna go ahead and just select them all, and then rotate them to be 90 degrees or so. And that way, there we are. And I just gotta place them one by one. First, we're gonna place this one right into the truck. Actually, an easier way to do this would have been to spawn one and then just copy paste it. A little bit easier of a way to do that. A little bit up. And a little bit down. I just want it to be just under. Just under. There we go. And if I see copy paste it, a little bit easier this way. Put another one in. And the last one will go in. So if anything is going to remove this, that should probably do it. 3 explosions all happening. Because I want this thing to open up. Now I gotta find the truck. There's the truck. Okay, I guess you can't remove it. How sad. It almost looks like it wants to come off, but it's not coming off. I mean, the solution is to just try more propane tanks. Ah, it's not coming off. Maybe it can under some very rare circumstances, but I cannot get those circumstances to happen to me. But anyways, that'll do it for the racing truck. Until next time, this is WhyBeAre. I'll see ya.